There's an MLB prop that hits 80% of the time, and almost nobody is betting it. It's not a money line, it's not a run total. And in the next 9 minutes, I'm going to show you exactly how you can find it. Make sure you stick around to the end because then I'm going to show you exactly which websites you need to use to be able to implement this strategy. Now, first things first, you probably click this video and you think 80%, there's no way that he has a strategy that actually it's at 80%. Well, I'm going to prove it to you exactly in this video and explain to you why it hits at over 80%. Let's first talk about what type of strategy this is. So it's going to be a pitcher prop. And what we're going to be looking at here is hits allowed. So the first step that we're going to look for here is we're going to go through on a slate of games on any given day. And we're going to look for teams that are minus 200 or more a favorite. Now, once we find these matchups, what we're going to do is we're going to write down both teams, okay? So what you do is you're going to write down both teams, okay? So, for example, I'm going to give you guys an example in this as well, all right? So, for example, we got the Astros going against the Angels. The Astros are minus 210. So what we're going to look at here is we're going to focus on the Angels pitcher, okay? We're going to look at the Angels pitcher, and this is where we're going to be able to find our prop at. Now, one stipulation here that I do want to add is that the team that is favored, okay, the favorite must have a batting average in the top 10, meaning that these guys get contact, they hit the ball, they're likely to put the ball in play. Now, if the season just started and you can't use this season's data, well, then you use last season's data, okay? As long as the team hasn't had any drastic changes. So you use last season's data, and then if you're in the middle of the current season, then you could use the current data. The next step we want to do here is we want to focus on the hits allowed by that pitcher, okay? So, for example, we're using the Angels pitcher here, and his name is Jack Witch. All right, so I'm not going to put his whole name just so we know. All right, but that's who we're focused on. This is the Angels pitcher. Houston Astros are top 10 in batting average in last season. So we got a team that can get the ball in play, and then we have a vulnerable pitcher here on the opposite side. Now, how do we know that this is a vulnerable pitcher? Well, because the odds dictated it. The Astros are minus 210 in this matchup. So if this pitcher was a great pitcher, he would not be at plus 180 or whatnot for the Angels to win the game. Wouldn't be like that, okay? So pitcher is vulnerable, but we have to double check that, and that's going to lead us to our next step. So our third step here is going to be to break down that pitcher now, all right? So again, we got Jack Kachanowicz, all right? So what we're going to do is we're going to break down his hits allowed prop and see where we actually have an edge, all right? So what we're going to do here is we're going to work through his list. So we got 6 plus, 5 plus, 4 plus. So these are hits, okay? Just hits, not runs, not anything like that. Just straight up hits. Now let's go ahead and put down the odds for these right here. Okay, we got minus 120 for 6 plus. We got minus 400 for 5 plus. And then we got minus 460 for 4 plus. Now let's go ahead and write down the implied probability here. So the minus 120 implied probability is going to be 54%. The implied probability for 5 plus is going to be 80%. The implied probability for 4 plus is going to be 82%, right? So we got our implied probability now. Now we need to find the true probability. So how we find the true probability here is now we compare how this pitcher has done against the exact type of team that he's facing, which is a team that's top 10 in batting average. So now let's go through and find exactly what our true probability of this matchup is going to be and where our edge actually lies. So at 6 plus, we find a true probability of 52%. So that is negative 2%. We don't like that, right? That's really not what we want, so we're going to cross that out. Now let's get to 5 plus. 5 plus, we have a implied probability of 80%, but we have a true probability of 70%, giving us a negative 10% edge. So that's not what we want either, right? That leaves us with one option here, which is 4 plus, which is an 82% implied probability. We need a true probability to be higher than this for even to make a play that's going to make sense with this pitcher. And at 4 plus, we get a true probability of 91%. Look at that. That is a drastic change there. So look what happens here. We have a 91% true probability here, giving us a plus 9% edge at this number. Now, again, most people would be scared to bet this type of number right here. They'd be scared because the odds are too high. So they would probably go, well, let me do 6 plus at minus 120 and giving yourself a negative edge. Well, guess what happens when you do that? and exactly what happens in this game, for example. This game, for example, he ends up getting and allowing right here 4 hits right on the nose. Okay, so if you bet 5 plus, you lose. You bet 6 plus, you end up losing. There we go. All right, we need one more hit. Come on, I need one more hit here. Got $3,000 on the Angels pitcher to give up at least 4 hits. He's got 3 hits right now. So one more, and we cash this one for, I think this is like our 15th one in a row that we've won. So let's go ahead and see what happens here. Come on, Alvarez. There we go. Money. There it is. That's like 15 straight right there. 15 straight. He ended up getting exactly 4. That is why this was at a what? Plus 9% edge. He had a 91% chance to be able to make that happen. And guess what? He literally got exactly that number. This is why you have to dictate which odds are going to work for you and where you're going to find your edge. Because if you were to play anything else, you would have lost. And you have to be able to find exactly where your edge lies. Now, if multiple have edge, if they all have a certain amount of an edge, then you take the one that has the biggest edge, okay? Because sometimes that will happen. Sometimes you'll have all 3 plays that give you an edge. But the biggest edge is where you're going to win the most long term. And that's what this proves right here. This proves to you that you can win at these odds long term as long as you have an edge. Just like this matchup here, people will laugh at you when you put in a bet like this. They will laugh at you. But then you're going to laugh at them when you win. And guess what? They picked something else and they ended up losing. Because you know the math behind a play winning when you watch and learn exactly what it is that I teach you. So what ended up happening in this example is we pretty much took the gambling aspect out of this, okay? Because if you were to pick 6 plus, then you're gambling, okay? You're gambling at that level because it's a 50-50 and you have a negative 2% edge. You're basically doing a casino game there at 6 plus and you're gambling. We're not gambling at this level. Okay, we expect to win. Why? Because we have a 91% true probability of that happening. So we expect to win. As long as the guy doesn't get hurt, we should win this. And that's exactly what happened. Okay, that is where you make the transition from being a gambler to being an investor in sports betting, and you actually learn how to make money long term rather than just donating and putting in stupid plays day after day. Now, if you guys want the strategies and the plays that I win at over 80% day in and day out for MLB season, make sure you guys click the link in the description. Now let's get to the websites. So the websites that you're going to use to follow this strategy for batting average for the team, you could use team rankings. If you watched most of my videos, you guys know that we've used this a bunch of times. Okay. Then for the true probability for your pitcher, you can use Outlier, okay, which is an app that'll give you percentages based off of what their recent performance was and all that, okay? This is where you can get your percentages. Then sportsbooks that offer this, okay? Sportsbooks are Caesars, William Hill, Flip. Now I got a question on this a couple times. This sportsbook is called Flip, okay? So that sportsbook is one of those sweepstakes sportsbooks. So you go on it looks like a kid's game because you got to buy coins and whatnot, and you think it's not real money. But what they do is they do 1-to-1 to the coins when you use real money. So that is how you're able to actually use that type of sportsbook. There's multiple of those out there, sweepstakes sportsbooks, and Flip is one of the ones that are like that, okay? It's a coin-based kind of thing. You buy coins and you go 1-to-1 where it equals money, okay? It's the same thing, you just have to transition it. It's kind of how they hide that they're a sports book. That's pretty much what they do, all right? But these are the sports books that you could use to find that prop at, okay? Remember, it's pitchers, hits, allowed. As always, guys, I'm Frank from Linemaker Sports. I'll see you guys in the next video. Till then.